For most of human history, life was a negotiation with danger. Our ancestors woke each day with a single mission: survive long enough to see tomorrow. Food wasn't guaranteed. Shelter could fail. A storm, an illness, or a bad harvest could erase everything. So, slowly and painfully, we learned to build. We built walls, then villages, then entire civilizations, all in the name of one promise: security. Security from hunger, security from the cold, security from the chaos of the world. And for a long time, this worked. Bit by bit, we pushed back the darkness their lives were consumed by. We created laws, agriculture, medicine, and technology. Entire generations lived and died believing that the purpose of progress was to escape danger. Then, something strange happened. We actually succeeded. The modern human wakes to a world our ancestors would barely recognize. Food can be ordered in minutes. Water comes from a tap. A roof overhead is no longer a luxury reserved for kings. For the first time in history, immense numbers of people are free from the daily threat of nature. But this victory came with a quiet, unexpected side effect. A problem no civilization before us ever had to solve. For most of history, leisure was rare. People worked from dawn to dusk just to survive. Records from the 1840s show that in America, people of all classes worked from morning till night, often without a single day of rest. Then industry happened. Machines, factories, clocks, they organized time. For the first time in modern history, large numbers of people had scheduled free time. We call that the leisure revolution. A century later, the fruits of that revolution are everywhere. Most of us no longer fight to survive. We are, by historical standards, absurdly privileged. Yet when freedom arrives, a question appears that few answer. What are we free for? Most people answer by default. They rest, they scroll, they consume. They fill empty hours with passive pleasures. TV, games, meaningless chatter. Richard Taylor called this ordinary pattern the commonplace life. Day after day of small, forgettable habits, leaving nothing changed by your presence. It looks comfortable. It feels safe. But it is also small. Not everyone agrees that this smallness is harmless. Colin Wilson, who knew depression from his youth, noticed a pattern. When he was passive, doing nothing meaningful, gloom arrived. He described this feeling as a kind of inner hollowness, a warning sign rather than a mystery. But Wilson did not end there. He observed that boredom often hinted at a deeper emptiness. When we lack challenge in work that matters, our minds invent suffering. Passivity breeds anxiety, rumination, and a shrinking sense of possibility. So, we face a choice with our free time. We can waste it, drift through comfort, numb the edges with consumption, never test our limits, or we can use it to create, to learn, to struggle productively. The second path asks more. It asks patience. It asks sacrifice. It asks that we resist short pleasures for long gains. But it also gives back something the other path never will: real growth, and a rare kind of self-respect. Richard Taylor names that reward plainly: pride. Not arrogance, not vanity, but justified self-love. Genuine pride is earned, he said, when you cultivate skill, discipline, and an achievement that proves you are a person of substance. Many confuse rights with worth. We all deserve respect under the law. We are not all made equal in what we can produce, in the crafts we can master, or in the virtues we can cultivate. That uncomfortable thought matters. It means that using leisure well is not merely tasteful. It is the way to make yourself worth loving. If this sounds harsh, consider a different angle. Thinking creatively, pursuing craft, testing yourself. These are also the best medicines for the meaninglessness of modern life. The effort of creation replaces the emptiness of passive indulgence. Wilson found that when he engaged with meaningful pursuits, the depressive fog lifted. The brain that works grows steadier, calmer, more resilient. So, how do you spend your leisure without falling into either trap, mindless escape, or joyless grind? Here are simple practices that fit a slow, meaningful life. Design your boredom deliberately. Don't rush to fill free hours the moment they appear. Treat them as intentional space. Begin by carving out small blocks for meaningful effort, reading a difficult book, practicing a skill, writing, coding, painting, or building something tiny every day. Start with just 30 minutes. Your brain will protest at first, then slowly adapt, then eventually crave the challenge. From there, choose projects that stretch you just beyond comfort. Growth happens in that narrow zone between easy enough and too much. If your free time only soothes you, it won't build you. If it only pushes you, you'll burn out. So alternate, rest deliberately, push with purpose. Accountability helps too. Make small commitments public. Tell a friend you'll finish a project by a certain date. A little external pressure keeps you honest. The same technologies that drown us in distraction can also anchor us in discipline if we turn them into tools instead of temptations. Along the way, measure progress, not perfection. Competence grows through tiny wins, and nothing strengthens self-respect more than watching your skills accumulate over time. At the same time, reduce passive consumption by design. If you want more mental space, you must reclaim it. Cutting back on scrolling, streaming, and endless news isn't moral purity. It's protecting your mental space. Replace 2 hours of passive noise with 1 hour of meaningful work and 1 hour of genuine rest. Finally, practice what could be called creative friction. Once a week, read or watch something that challenges your worldview. Not to be defeated, but to stay intellectually alive. A mind that never meets resistance slowly collapses in on itself. A mind that regularly wrestles with ideas grows sharper, steadier, and harder to manipulate. These are habits. They aren't heroic in themselves. They are small, steady acts that shake your temperament over months and years. However, there are objections. What about rest? What about mental health? Rest is essential. But rest and retreat are different from passivity. Rest restores, retreat recalibrates. Passivity escapes. If you are burned out, start with gentle, purposeful activity. A short walk with attention, a small creative task, cooking with care. The goal is not to punish yourself with productivity. The goal is to reclaim agency over how your life is spent. Let's return to Taylor's idea of pride. Pride is not a scream of ego. It is the quiet knowledge that you have made something of your time. It is the justified love of oneself because you have trained, practiced, suffered a little, and produced. The superior few Taylor speaks of aren't greater because they were born with gifts. They are greater because they cultivated those gifts against resistance. This cultivation is available to most of us, not as a guarantee of greatness, but as a route to being more genuinely alive. So when you find yourself with an hour, a day, a weekend, ask the question seriously. What am I free for? Let it sit. Don't answer with a reflex. The question is more important than any single choice. Over time, the answers form a life. If you want practical next steps, begin tonight. Pick one modest project you can practice for 30 minutes each day for 30 days. It can be journaling, learning a language, drawing, piano practice, anything that stretches a skill. Don't seek perfection, seek repetition. If at the end of 30 days you feel different, keep going. If not, adjust the task and repeat. This is not a demand that everyone must be exceptional. Most people will live quiet, ordinary lives, and there is dignity in that. But ordinary needn't mean passive. You can be ordinary and practiced, simple and disciplined. The aim is not to impress others. The aim is to be someone who deserves their own respect. Civilization gave us freedom from immediate survival. That freedom is a responsibility. Use it to rest well. Yes, but also to create, to struggle, and to grow. The path of least resistance leads to sameness. The path of deliberate effort leads to pride, to competence, to a life that matters to you. So this week, choose one small thing worth getting better at. Do it for 30 minutes a day. Notice how boredom shifts into focus. Notice how passivity yields to purpose. In time, those small hours will accumulate into a life that no one can take away. A life you can be quietly proud of.